just as we mentioned in the very beginning, today we have a very special episode. Very special because we are dedicating this episode actually to what is going on in El Farafra, talking about one of the most important mega projects taking place in Egypt. Well, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi attends the harvest of the first phase of the 1.5 million faddans project today. And the President witnesses wheat harvesting in El Farafra and gives the go-ahead for cultivating 7,500 acres. Well, the point is we are not only talking also about the cultivation or agriculture, but also we are going to talk about a new area that will be surrounding this mega project, in particular providing all the needs and houses and all a new life actually for all those also who are going to work and join this mega project. So definitely this is of great importance to Egypt, and we'll discuss it in more details with our guest for today, Mr. Amir Nabil, Managing Editor of MENA Middle East News Agency. First of all, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Talking first of all about the importance of this project and the wheat in general, because definitely this has always been one of the main sources of life in talking going back thousands of years ago, even since ancient Egyptians. So this is of great importance, and we can say that it is also a national security to Egypt. So this mega project, how do you see it?
It's very right to say that it is important for us, this mega project, for all the Egyptian citizens living in, most of them under the poverty line, unfortunately, and most of them are needing all the time for wheat. We are the biggest importer of wheat along over the world from many sources around the world. Many countries are exporting to us, even some countries in the desert. They have cultivated a lot of their land and export to us the wheat. So we are the biggest importer of wheat around the world. So it is important mega project for us, for the next generations and so on. To cultivate more and more feddans in oases, in desert is
we have been talking actually about the new valley, that it is another country inside the country because it is a huge area and it is a virgin land. We have always been talking about how we can take benefit of this area.
That's right. It's not only a place for touristic visits and so on. I've said that tourists are knowing very well such kind of places like Oasis and Farafra and so on. They are coming especially to make very special occasions for us, for them, in visits in Siwa and so on. For myself, I have visited Siwa and I've enjoyed very much about this place, quiet place and very good environment there. So cultivating a very big and huge land for us. It's important for expanding the farmland of Egypt and to export and even for the sufficient needs of the people.
I think this is the most important part, just satisfying the needs of the Egyptians of wheat. And this is definitely because due to all what is going on when it comes to the exchange rate of the dollar and all of this, definitely if we can reach the self-satisfaction just maybe 75% to 80% within 2 years, definitely this will change the future of Egypt.
It will, yeah. It definitely will do so, because I think a lot of people, unfortunately, in Egypt and in farmland are worst in using and so on, about making some kind of farmland into building some thing like making it very bad land and so on. Our farmland is decreasing day by day, and so it's not good for us to do so in a very huge farmland in Egypt and going to the desert. We are afraid that making such kind of expanding the farmland in oasis and turning it over to make it some building and so on, it's not good for us. We have to be aware about any kind of this problem to be there in the oasis and in the desert. So in the delta, very good farmland in Egypt. A lot of people, unfortunately, are making very mistakes about turning this farmland and very good land into some buildings and so on. So we have to be aware about this kind of the future of the people.
There is another interesting point actually that was also mentioned, talking about as this project will also include fully furnished 2,000 village houses, and this again will take us when I remember when we used to talk about, for example, the Suez Canal and the new access and all of the projects that will be surrounding the Suez Canal. Again, this is of another importance because you are creating a new area and opening the way for those people who would like to join in the project, to stay over there, to live with their families.
To be natural life, you can say. For make the people or make the life.
This is the most important
yes,
part.
It's most important because it's make the life very easy for the people to go there and to live in a natural life and so on. It's good for them to have the house near to they're close to the farmland and something like that. Not to come back to the capital and to the big cities. And travel. We don't need that. We need some people to go there, for especially from the youth, to have the land and to have this is a model for making such kind of environment.
As you mentioned youth, because again it was mentioned that we have about 100,000 youth that are participating in this project, and this is a great number actually, and another important signal of how the country or the state is aware of the importance of using and giving the chance for the youth to work in their land.
This is the hope of the future. The youth will make the change for this special place in the desert. If one youth looking for some job or so on, to have some lands and some fiddens there, and his people, his family, and his small family, and more, I think if something like awareness from the media and from everything, and another something like scrutiny from the government and trying to prevent people from turning any land or so on into some building or making some trade or so on about the building, about the land. We have to prevent that and make it a model of successful story there.
Here we have something else that the Premier said, that the project will also is well studied and it will guarantee the best exploitation of the abundant subterranean water. This is something actually that most of the Egyptians used to talk about when it was first mentioned, this mega project.
Water well is the problem of any cultivating of the land, I think so. So if the government is responsible about solving this problem, it will be a success story. If there is something like a headlines only and headlines in the press and newspaper and so on, the youth will discover that in a very short period of time. So the problem of providing water for all the land there, for the youth, for the project, this will make the change. If the youth are going there without water, without some sources of helping them and something like that, it will be failure. I think so. So I think the government will help the youth and will help the project.
I think also they want to just to give the Egyptians the idea that everything, because Egyptians used to be scared, because definitely we know the challenge of water resources in Egypt. So I think this is another issue that they wanted just to tell them that everything is under control, as we say.
There's something like negative points in the psychology of many youth, of the Egyptian youth right now. I think about not be trusting in any headlines or in any announcements of the governments and so on. So they are trying to have something like guarantees to make this success story there. And if I go to make my project and to live there permanently, the government will help me and will try to provide any sources of water, any source of help and so on. A lot of people are not trusting of the government. The government try to convince the youth and convince the people that they will do and will help them all the time.
Right, still we have more to bring you, but moving on to a quick break and we'll be back to resume our breakfast show.
عام 2016 عاما للشباب المصري. أصدرت حزمة من القرارات والتوجيهات: إطلاق البرنامج الرئاسي لتأهيل الشباب للقيادة، إطلاق مشروع بنك المعرفة المصري، دعم وتنمية المشروعات الصغيرة والمتوسطة، تخفيف أعباء خدمة القروض عن كاهل الشباب المصري، انتهاء من تنفيذ بناء 145,000 وحدة سكنية بالإسكان الاجتماعي للشباب خلال عام 2016. تحديث المناهج التعليمية لجميع المراحل الدراسية، التوسع في النشاط الرياضي والارتفاع بمستوى اللياقة البدنية للشباب المصري، إحياء دور قصور الثقافة وإقامة المسابقات الفنية، إطلاق منتدى للحوار مع الشباب، مؤتمر وطني للشباب يعقد بمدينة شرم الشيخ خلال شهر سبتمبر القادم. لا تتخلوا عن تجربتكم، تمسكوا بوطنكم، تمسكوا بالأخلاق وصحيح الدين، تسلحوا بالعلم وواكبوا العصر، وبقوة شبابها ستحيا مصر. تحيا مصر، تحيا مصر.
Welcome back. And just as we mentioned in the very beginning, today we are going to bring you live coverage going to El Farafra, bringing you all the news, up-to-date news when it comes to this, the attendance of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to this mega project. But first of all, just moving on to our colleague Linda Abdul Latif, and she held this interview with General Kamel al-Wazir, Chairman of Military Engineering Authority. Moving on to find out together more about this interview, and we'll be back.
بما فيهم من منشآت يعني بيوت ريفية مع عمارات سكنية مع مدارس مع حضانات مع مجلس قروي مع مستشفيات مع مساجد مع كنيسة.
According to the directions of President Sisi, we already started that project, and today the President will give us the signal to start the harvest process. Now, what about the water stations and the electricity grids? Indeed, this project we would like to consider it to be a fully independent project, as it has got its own underwater well where we try to desalinate the water. It also includes all of the required minerals. So we are trying to desalinate the water that we get from the groundwater well, and we try as well to transfer the water to all of the communities staying there. As for the sanitation project, we do have our treatment project. We have a station that will be in charge of treating the water in order to make it suitable for cultivating different types of crops later on. As for electricity, we established electricity station which is considered to be a hybrid one, because it combines the solar energy as well as a traditional source of power, and this helps in providing all of the electricity required for this project, as well as any future expansion that may be expected for this same mega project. So we have our water, we have our electricity, our sanitation, and we didn't rely on the state at all. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and many happy returns, and we would like to say that we'll try to do our best for the best of Egypt, inshallah. Thank you.
It is 2 a.m. here in Cairo. I'm Ahmed Nader, and these are the latest top stories. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi inaugurated on Thursday the first wheat harvest season in the 1.5 million Faddans project. The first stage of the project is being implemented in El Farafra Oasis in the New Valley Governorate. Addressing the inauguration ceremony, President al-Sisi said that the cost of national projects is £1,300 billion, noting that what is being achieved is unprecedented, as he praised the results of the first stage of the project. The president noted that a network of roads will be established in Sinai, adding that a project of tunnels will be implemented in Sinai within 2 years. As Sisi said, the 2 water treatment stations will also be built in Sinai as part of the major developmental project in the area. The bodies of 9 Egyptian migrants killed in the Libyan town of Beni Walid returned to Egypt on Thursday. Foreign Ministry spokesman Ahmed Abu Zaid said that 6 of the 9 victims are from the Upper Egyptian Governorate of Aswan, but the origin of the other 3 is not known. Egypt hailed the efforts made by the Libyan head of the Presidential Council, Faiz al-Sarraj, to return the bodies of the Egyptian citizens. The United Nations mission to Libya said that the deaths had taken place in a number of incidents on Tuesday and Wednesday. It said as many as 13 Egyptians have been killed and called for an investigation. Foreign Ministry spokesman Ahmed Abu Zaid said that the Egyptian consulate in Rome is closely following up the current investigation carried out on the death of the Egyptian citizen in Italy, Mohammed Bahir Subhi, in the Italian city of Napoli. Abu Zaid added that the deputy Egyptian ambassador to Napoli, or Italy, headed to Napoli on Thursday to watch the footage captured by the train station cameras to know the circumstances of his death. He added that the Egyptian ambassador met the Italian foreign ministry officials to underscore the importance that the Italian authorities closely follow up the investigation. He also said that an official memorandum was sent to Rome to receive the full detailed forensic report on the causes of the death. An airstrike hit a crowded refugee camp in Syria on Thursday, close to the border with Turkey, killing at least 28 people. The Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said that it was not clear who carried out the airstrike on the camp in Sarmada in Idlib province, near the Turkish border. Separately, a car bomb exploded in the main square of the central Syrian village, and once people gathered to help the victims, a suicide bomber riding a motorcycle detonated his explosives belt nearby, killing at least 10 people and wounding scores. And the Israeli forces and the Hamas fighters clashed directly for the first time since a devastating 2014 war, as the second cross-border tunnels used by the fighters was discovered. Clashes between the Palestinian fighters and the Israeli forces were continuing the east of Rafah in the southern Gaza Strip for the second consecutive day on Thursday, and the overnight Israeli airstrikes hit 4 targets in Gaza, wounding 4 people, 3 of them were children. These were the latest top stories. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.
Welcome back. Thank you, Linda, for this interview. And to continue talking about the importance of this mega project, talking about the new valley in general, but also before we talk about other areas, because it is important as well, as long as we are providing more job opportunities for the youth, the point is talking about the challenges that they might face, because it is an important issue. And I think things are taken into consideration. What do you think?
There's definitely some difficulties about making some kind of mega projects in some very huge desert in the western desert of Egypt. I think there's a lot of jobs can be created, but it has to be created under the good environment and the good conditions to be provided for all the youth to go there, traveling and roads and so on.
It started actually by that we have many houses, the 2,000 village houses that will be built over there, as we heard in the interview, talking about electricity, water supply, all of these issues. But do you think, talking about some other challenges that they might face? Because definitely we know that the point of, the bureaucracy, the procedures, all of this, and we need them to work immediately.
I think the media is responsible for doing or making the light on this kind of mega project about some success stories for some youth from the point of starting going to there until it has his job and has building and permanent living there. I think the media is responsible about making this under the light for the people to know that there's some youth wanting to go there and having their permanent life there with a family and so on. And about the difficulties, about the challenges, and how far is the people wanting to go there are. Everything is okay, and there is no difficulties, there is no barriers against them to make some licenses and papers, so on. So to make it as a model for the people and a call for all the people to go there if they want. Because something like some kind of trade about if you pay some money there, here or there, under legal or illegal, for some people about going there to have some 5 fiddens or 10 fiddens. A lot of corruption calls about some people make the negative picture, a part of the picture are very negative about the people. They are not trusting about the government, as I have said. So we have to make some light for successful stories about some people going there already and making some their success. And making the link between those people and any call and anything they need from the government to make it very easy
to have
for the
an
people.
open channel, for example.
Open channel and open window for all, making the challenges under control for the people day
We
by
always
day.
talk about the one-stop window, and I think this is something of great importance, just to make a place for each project. If you want to take any procedure, you can just move on to this place and you can end everything, and you can do whatever you want.
I think there's still something like a dream.
Like
for
the
some-
investments, yes.
Something like a dream.
It starts with the dream.
Headlines, yes, headlines for the people and for the investors wanting to come to Egypt and make any invest. There is still some complaints from the investors. If they want to have some land and make something like that, they have to make tens and tens of licenses from the Antiquities Ministry and from the land, from the irrigation, from the military. All these are challenges and difficulties against there to make the investment. And on the comparison, we have to have a look about what's happening in Dubai and in Maghreb and in something like Jordan and something like Gulf states and so on. There's a lot of these states are trying to be competitive environment for the investors and make it on the ground something like to make it easy for them to have their investment and to make their success there.
Right, the 1.5 million faddans actually will not only be located in Al Farafra in the New Valley, but also it will cover many other governorates like Aswan, Qina, Kalubiya, Ismailiyya, Matruh. All of these places are of great importance, and all of these places suffered a lot during the past in general. So how do you see the importance of this, and what change will it add to the people living over there?
There will be a very great impact on the population living in all these governorates when the project will be completed. But if we start in a huge desert like New Valley and Governorate and Oasis and so on, it will make something like a campaign for Egypt abroad, and I think there's some kind of propaganda.
I think we have about 280,000 faddans in the New Valley.
Yeah. I think there's something like propaganda campaign for them, not only for the Egyptians, but also abroad, so the foreign investors can come after that to make some investment inside and in this desert. But all of these are under conditions of providing the water wells and providing the easy steps for the government and so on. If all of these challenges are okay for the abroad or the foreign investors and for the Egyptian as well, I think it will be a success story. But there is something like differences between some governorates like New Valley, governorates with a huge desert, and Aswan, and something like any governorate with a good, very big population of people. So I think it will be easier for the New Valley rather than in populated governorates.
Talking about this project, how important it is when it comes also to human resources and giving much training to the youth, because whenever we talk, we talk about human resources, because this is the most important part. And if we are going to work on agriculture, definitely we are going to use the up-to-date technology, and definitely these people must be well trained how to use this up-to-date technology.
This is a good, important point, I think, because a lot of people, not only from the educated, well-educated youth graduated from the universities and so on, are not trusted enough or confident enough about the future of being making an agricultural project or so on like that, to be a farmer. We can say it is something like a lose project for a lot of them, saying that there's not future about making the land farmland or making agricultural project and investing in agriculture in special. But this is not the vision outside, I think so, because the government are trying to help the farmers to be to have some profits from the farmland, and it is very critical point for all the generations coming and for all the people living right now on this ground. So we have to encourage people, encourage youth to make agriculture and prevent any illegal activities about the land and so on. So if we make it encouraging and profitable project, I think a lot of youth and a lot of people will come back to the agriculture.
I think this will take us to the point that in the past also it was mentioned that some of the farmers actually they were abused, and they used to sell their products with a very low price, and there was a sort of monopoly and all of this. So I believe now it's not going to be the case anymore. And this is also important for all of the farmers and the new generation to come to follow.
Look, Egypt is very famous in the past. It was very famous about being an agricultural country and so on, under even the colonial era and
since ancient civilization.
Yes, yes, it is very famous about that. We have a very good land about cultivating land and so on. We are in these 2 or 3 generations, or even the recent generation, are making the biggest mistakes about this land and making the buildings on the cultivated land and so on. So
this is something also of great importance, because we used to talk about it, and it is something like losing our heritage when it comes to just building on our agricultural land.
Yeah, it's a big mistake. I think it is coming into being a crime against the generation right now and for the future. So this is the rule of the government, the rule of the security forces and so on, to prevent the people making such kind of illegal activities against the people, against the farmland. We every year we have something like a festival of the peasants and so on in 9th of September or so on. So some people coming as farmers and saying that we are protecting the farmland, we are in the back of the President Sisi and so on. They are announcing, all of them are saying that, but still we every day discover that the farmland, our farmland of Egypt, is not, it's decreasing, unfortunately. About tens of thousands of fiddles we have lost of them over these 3 or 4 years. So we have to prevent that. So if the illegal activities is continuing in the desert, will continue there, and the big problem that still this problem will be there even in the future if the government is changing. And I think, or I remember that Dr. Kamal Ganzouri, when he was prime minister, has made it something like a military crime, a military illegal crime, and he has prevented them and make the punishment very big about that. I greet him. Now I think about this kind after something like Dr. I think Ataf Abed or so on changing, and I think they have forgotten all these procedures or so against the illegal people. So it was turning over.
But the idea of removing these buildings, for example,
it's good, but still it is a social problem about against some families. We can speak about a lot of people are living in something like, we can say about small houses or so on here or there on the suburbs of Cairo, in something like a very luxurious regions like Zamalek, like Mohandisin. A lot of small houses is very near and very close of it, and make the problem, the same problem in the cultivated land. They have, I think the model is that we have something like 5 fedans or so on with a small house inside it for the farmer to help him to be living with his family and so on. Now it's not the case. A region like Faisal Street, we can speak about it. From 20 years until now, it was all of it was farmland. Now it is a very populated area and making the very big problem about social networking and social place, and something, a big problem, very big problem. We are afraid about making it over and over again in something. Cairo as a capital is very populated capital. All the governments, all the big cities around the Republic, I think, is still very populated and not ready for anything like expanding more and more buildings. All the solution is in the desert. We have to make it, to use it very good.
Talking about this mega project when it comes to economy in general in Egypt and the budget deficit and all of this, do you think it can solve part of this problem?
Look, in the Egyptian economy is very attractive economy, and any mega project is coming in it. It will make it very encouraging and very attractive point for the investors locally or abroad. So when President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has announced the Suez Canal access and the Suez Canal parallel line and so on, it was very attractive for all the investors wanting to come. And at the same time, this mega project in cultivating areas in Egypt, all the world are knowing very well about the attractive points of the Egyptian economy and the Egyptian sectors. So we have to make more and more such kind of mega projects, and we try to help the government, to help President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to make it success for the sake of the generation.
Right. At the end, actually, Mr. Amir, thank you very much for joining us. And still, we have more to bring you on our breakfast show. So let's move on to a quick break and we'll be back.
يا مصر يا مصر يا 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 مصر يا مصر يا مصر يا 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 مصر يا مصر يا أم الأمم نيلك اتولد قبل الهرم يا مصر يا أم الأمم نيلك اتولد